Coherence is rhythm. It's a cadence. And when you're in fear or you're in survival and your heart rate increases and your respiratory rate increases, your brain waves go up into this aroused state, right? And people spend 70% of their life anticipating the worst case scenario that's going to happen in their life and prepare for the worst. Chronic stress does what? Causes us to hold our breath. All right. So we found, in our research and working with the Heart Math Institute and also some of the stuff we've been doing, that if you slow your breathing down, you slow your brain waves down. And if you teach your body to move out of survival, there's only one other thing it wants to do. It wants to create, right? So now just imagine a big drum. And now you're so contracted that you can't hit that drum. And as you learn and teach a person how to convert from that fight or flight nervous system to the nervous system of relaxation, the heart actually starts to bloom. And when you place your attention on your heart, we have the data. I can say this emphatically. That when that heart starts to beat in rhythm, it starts to inform the brain that it's time to create. Like taking a big sheet and going like this, a wave of energy goes right to the brain. The brain goes right into alpha and says, it's safe now to create. Examine other possibilities. You're out of survival, right? So then as you hit that drum repeatedly, there's a wave of sound that's produced. And the more coherent it is, the more it can carry information, right? Or if you drop a pebble in the water and you drop another pebble in the water and you drop another pebble in the water, when your heart is coherent, there's a magnetic field, right?
Do you think, Joe, that, like, I'm just curious, I'm thinking about all the applications of stuff. You know how I'm always the application dude, right? I'm thinking of a guy like, I'm thinking about just a person like I've watched that could embody this in some ways. Do you assume someone like a Tiger Woods or a Brady? I'm thinking like, okay, now I'm an athlete thinking about this. Most athletes, most people going into a boardroom to make a presentation, for example, or to ask somebody out for a date, the more stressful they perceive the environment to be, the more poorly they perform, typically.
Yeah.
So you can take two golfers who both hit a golf ball the exact same way. As the environment changes and becomes, the perception of the environment becomes more stressful. I'm just, right? You're nodding yes for people that are on audio. A guy like a Tiger Woods, when it's the putt to win the Masters and there's 50 billion people watching and it's for legacy, everything's slowing down for him. His heart rate is probably more regulated. He's got more heart coherence at that time, so he's in a creative state, whereas the other person's heart rate is increasing. They're a complete incoherence, and they can't create and function.
And incoherence causes you to overanalyze.
Got it.
And we've discovered this, that if you analyze anything, your life, yourself, within some disturbing emotion, you're going to make your brain worse 100% of the time. In other words, you're thinking in the past, and your thoughts are arousing the brain more into that state of survival. Now, that's when we overfocus. That's when we overthink, right?
So you have the ability to do whatever you've always done the other way. If you've
Exactly.
conditioned yourself into the state of anxiety or chaos or fear repeatedly, then you create a personality that creates those elements in your life, and then you reinforce it with your experience.
Exactly.
You can then do the same thing the other way.
That's my point. That's my point.
Awesome.
So then the person's having a spontaneous love attack. They've done it enough times. Their body's going, hey, it's been about 2 hours without a little love. Well, let me just automatically do that. And so now, when you feel these elevated emotions, it activates the prosocial networks in the brain. Survival creates the protective networks. Like, I don't trust you. I'm separate. You're different. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm selfish right now. It's all about me. Let's compete. Let's fight. Let's manipulate. Let's force it. Let's control it. Let's do matter trying to change matter. That's kind of the program, right?
It is.
So then the opposing part of this is that when people start to connect and they start to have these elevated states, then something really unusual happens. The reality seems to conform in ways that are equal to who they're being. So now the heart is saying to the brain, it's time to create, and now your energy has changed, and nothing changes until we change our energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life, right? And so then the idea then is to be able to maintain that modified state of mind and body your entire day. And as I said, get so good at doing it with your eyes closed that you can do with your eyes open. Now, if you can sustain that state for an extended period of time, I don't care what you want, and people have created all kinds of things. I use health as the example because it's really relatable. Now, all of a sudden, it's like you're no longer having to go and get it and do something like matter to matter to go get it. And until you arrive at that experience, you're in lack or separation until the experience happens. It takes a feeling like, oh, my God. Well, this is kind of like the opposite. This is like you're not going anywhere. Everything's coming to you. So the thought tends to have an electrical charge in the quantum field. It tends to be the directive. It sends the signal out. And the heart tends to have a magnetic field. It tends to draw the experience to us. So then if you teach people how to create from the field instead of from matter, they will shorten the distance between the thought of what they want and the experience of having it, between the cause and the effect. Now,